Hey guys, William Murfitt here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. In today's episode, I have my parents' Ford Kuga back in. We're going to do a oil and filter change in this video, and in another video, we're going to do the front brakes. So, let's get stuck in. So this is a Ford Kuga. I believe it's a Mark II shape. It's a 2-litre TDCi, so it's a diesel. And yeah, I've got a full service kit. It's done 55,000 miles. Just letting it warm up, get the temperature, which it should have done by now. Levels down, but coolant levels down, but it's been running for sort of 10-15 minutes or so. So let's switch it off. And let's have a look. So first of all, down in the passenger footwell, there's a pull lever there to get the bonnet open. The bonnet will then pop up like so. Underneath the driver's side, see this little yellow lever. You can pull it back towards the passenger side and lift the bonnet up. Engine stay. There we go. Bonnet is now secure. So I'm going to do an oil filter change, so I'll need to pull the dipstick out, undo the cap, and get underneath to take out the drain plug. I'm going to take this top cover off because under here is the fuel filter. I'm going to do an air filter here, and there's pollen filters in this as well, which possibly could be underneath here. Do a bit of Google Canix to work out the location there. I'm going to check the brake fluid, I'm going to check the coolant, I'm going to top up the screen wash and just go through the engine bay as a whole. I have been in here not too long ago. I replaced the alternator because that died. I didn't do a video on that because it was a bit of a pig to get to and you couldn't really see much filming. But it's a pretty straightforward engine as such. Service, and it should be relatively clean sailing. Right, so I've ordered a service kit. Stuff's arrived. They're all genuine parts. So we have, I believe, an air filter, and an oil filter. And I think this thing takes 5.5 litres of oil, so there's 6 litres there. A pollen filter, a fuel filter, and a new plug washer. So I got this from eBay. As you can see there, gasket or the engine kit, oil, it comes at £85.96. Right. So I've just jacked the car up on the passenger side because the drain plug points towards the driver's wheel. And then underneath I have got an axle stand, which I've got the jack and the stand in there for safety reasons. So using a T30 Torx bit, you've got one bolt here, one bolt in the middle, one bolt on the side. On the edges you've got these what look like 8mm, one this side, one on the other side, and then on the front potentially have to take these bolts here out, but it may just slide back and fall off this. We shall see. I'll take these as a first and see how it goes. The side bolts here are actually 7mm, and now it's down. You can see it's just flopping around, so I will have to take off these bolts here. So there's a T30, a T30, another one, and so there's 4 T30s holding this on. This whole front panel should fall off with the under tray included. As you can see, with the under tray off now, it gives us access to the sump plug, also to the oil filter. It appears to have a bit of a leak around the gearbox areas, which I'll try and investigate whilst I'm here. Yeah, service wise, this is going to come off, this plug's going to come out, drain the oil through, and then back at the top to fill it up. So get the oil out first. Okay, so at the top, before I drain the plug out, I just want to take out the dipstick and undo the oil filler cap. I've never seen a sump plug like this before, but there's an R clip, so the clip will then be pulled out. And then it looks like, I've got my catch can underneath, it looks like you just twist this. Once it's twisted, pull that centralised, and then pull it out. So I've cleaned the oil plug up. I'm just going to use a little pick and get underneath. I'll pull that old seal off, like so. And the new one, in reverse, just gets fitted on, like so. It's always best to give it a bit of a oiling around the edge so it doesn't get tight and snag and pull off as you're trying to put it back in. But that's the sump plug prepared. So replacement oil filter wise, I've got the oil filter here. Now, sometimes I can spin it by hand. However, sometimes they are pretty tight. So you've got tools like this. What it does is that clamps underneath it. As you tighten it, it clamps to loosen it off. The other style you have is a belt. So the belt goes around, and as you tighten this, it gets tight and then twist it off. This is probably more user friendly if you need to use that oil filter, but 9 times out of 10, well actually 10 times out of 10, that's going back in the bin. So I'll use this one for now. You get an extension on it, clamp it underneath, just loosen it off. Okay, so the oil and filter is now draining. I'm going to get up top and I'm going to replace the air filter, check everything over in the engine bay, and then hopefully by the time I've done that, the oil will have finished draining. I can put the plug in, the new filter on, top it with oil, and that's the service complete. So let's start with the air filter. So this is the air filter box. You can see there's a 6mm, another one there, one down the front, and more than likely one down the back here. 4 bolts, sometimes a little bit tricky to get off because they're quite tightly sealed. Pull the lid off, any leaves or debris by the filter, take it all out, put the new filter in, and then reseal it down, tighten it down, and move on. That's the old filter. As you can see, it's pretty dirty. I'll leave that there, get the new one. A significant difference between that and that. So it's obviously doing its job by keeping all the bad out of the engine. Right, so that's in. There are, on the bottom of the box, a bit of a locator, and then you can see it a little bit clearer on the top here. There's a little groove here for the filter to sit in, so it's compressed slightly, but not overly so, nowhere near that much. With that lined in, a little locating pin right at the bottom, go straight down. The top section can get put it back on and bolt it back down. So the air filter done, we're going to move on to the fuel filter. So to get to the fuel filter, I have to lift this box. So typically they'll have 4 points of contact, and they're normally like a hard suction. You can see on the back here, you've got a cup, and on the engine, you've got these balls that they sit on. And I know this because when I did the alternator, that had to come off. So there's 1 bolt there, 1 bolt there, and 1 at the back. This plate comes off, the clips come off the top of the fuel filter housing, and the top of the housing comes off, and the filter comes out. So I've got 3 8mm, 1 here, 1 here, one down the back. It then accesses the top of the fuel filter housing. Now I can remove the whole housing by an 8mm, an 8mm, and again there's one down the back, or I can take off these clips, remove the pipes, remove this bracket here or this plug, and then undo the top section. So these little plastic clips, the centre pulls up, the middle pushes in. Now unfortunately, when this car was serviced previously by a Ford main dealer, they happened to break all of the clips. So although they are secured, they're not fully secured by that push fit ring. So they are a little bit not great. This other one, the orange plug comes up, and the electrical connector. Front lifts, electrical connector comes off. In here is the fuel filter, which is a little bit tight to come on. Put your finger in the middle of it and pull it up. You can see that is absolutely disgusting when you compare it to the new one. Let's get this new filter in. So once it's pushed down and located centrally, we secure them. And on the top, I've got this as the cap, this green O-ring, again using the hook, just come off. And the new one, just located like so. It's all fitted. It's time to spin it back on. Right, so thanks to the wonderful world of Google and YouTube, I've done the air filter, I've done the fuel filter. The pollen filter location is actually inside the passenger footwell of the car, so I shall leave that for the time being. However, underneath the car, the oil has finished draining, so we can put the plug back in, put the oil filter back on, and then we can get the car back on the ground, top up the oil, and get it outside. There still will be some oil residue around there, but the worst of it has now gone. So to give around the filter a bit of a clean, there's a nice clean surface to mount to. So the new oil filter, I just want to put my finger in the old oil and run it around the seal, so it can be nice and lubricated. So it doesn't snag, catch up, and not want to go in. That spins on. It's now tight. The rubber seal actually seals that, so if you go too tight you'll end up damaging it. Got my plug with the new washer. That's locked. Got the R clip to go back in. Just give that a squirt again. So the plug's in, the filter's on. I've just had a quick look at the oil leak underneath, and I can't see anything untoward other than it's just damp. Can clean it all off and have a better look when I get outside. There's nothing that appears to be high up, nothing between the sump and the engine and the gearbox. It's potentially between the actual transfer case for the front diff, if you will. Gearbox front diff to the sort of the prop to the rear. Potentially somewhere around there there's got a bit of a leak, but it's not major. It's just a bit of like a misting of oil over there. We'll have to keep an eye out for. So I'm gonna get the under tray back on, get the car on the ground, fill the oil, get the car outside, do the pollen filter, service complete. Right, underneath now then, the under tray is back on. Series of T30 torque bits and 7mm sockets. So 7mm this side, over this side, and then I think 3 at the back and 4 at the front. Right, that's the car back on the ground. All I've got to do now is top up the oil. Now it takes 5.5 litres from my understanding. So I have a 5 litre and a 1 litre. This is the Castrol magnetic Ford specific oil 030. So that's 1 litre there. I'm going to put the 5 litres in first. I'm going to run the car up to circulate all the oil, check the temperature, check the measurement on the dipstick, and then top up accordingly with the smaller bottle. So, I am filming all this on my phone, and I haven't got enough memory, so it stopped. But anyway, you got the gist of it. Just looking at the oil level now, so you've got 2 lines here. The upper one's maximum, the lower one's minimum. So ideally you want to be as close to the maximum as possible, but sort of your tolerance is in between the two. You don't want to run the engine below the minimum, but again, you don't want to run it above the maximum. So when you're topping it up, you want to make sure that it's pretty much bang on that line. I haven't dipped it yet, but let's have a go and see where it comes out. Okay, so I've got my empty dipstick. I'll just clean that up now. You can see the minimum, maximum marks. Let's shove it in the hole. And you can see that the level is bang on that top mark. So, push that back in. I'll put the engine cover back on, clean up any spillages, put this cap back on, which will only go one way, so when you twist it, the oil filler is pointing upwards. That's satisfying. And then yeah, this here goes on. So the best thing to do is locate the 2 front holes, which will go onto here and here. Give that a quick wipe down, get rid of any handprints or sticky mess. Same as up here. The service pretty much complete of the engine bay. The only thing I want to check now is in here. I'm going to make sure this isn't dirty. As you can clearly see it's not. If that's dirty, then that's due a change. Lift this cap here. Now do not lift this cap when it's hot, because it will fire off. And you're covered in scalding hot water. So I've got a little tool to check the temperature there. This is my antifreeze tester. What you do is you squeeze it, you put the nozzle into the water, and as you let go, it fills up, and then it grades it based on how many balls stay floating. So you see here, got one red, one blue, which would suggest we are suitable for +5 Fahrenheit and -15 Celsius. So I think we are perfect with that. Okay, so I'm now in the cab. I'm ready to reset that service light. Now, to start the car, I put my foot on the clutch and press my engine on. So I'm just going to show you now, obviously, this on, seatbelt info. I imagine it will give me a warning to say service due. Oddly, that warning light didn't come up, but what I'm going to do now is obviously show you how to reset the service light. So you put the ignition on, and immediately you put your foot on the accelerator and the brake. That should hopefully come up with your service oil program reset. You hold your feet continuously on the pedals for about 20 seconds. Oil reset progress. Keep going, and it should change in a minute to say complete. There we go, that's now complete. I can take my feet off the accelerator and the brake, and that service light is now reset, and then the interval has changed into the next service schedule. Super happy with that. Clutch in, ignition button on, start the car, make sure there's no warning lights. So I've got obviously my lights on down here, the handbrake's on, the handbrake's now off, and we are good to go. Apart from that pollen filter, which is down here in the back of the dash. Good morning. Right. Yesterday's about 11:30 by the time I went in the house. Massive bed head, but I thought I'd just get out and get this sorted before I can get cleaned up nicely and enjoy the rest of the weekend. So, last on the list for this service is the pollen filter. Let's go do it. So, passenger footwell. Now I'm led to believe that it is back there. So you see the little box here? I've got some clips you can pinch, and then the filter comes out. Now, it will come out a little bit, not cleanly. You have to come out and bend it slightly, so that's that. Now, the other thing is there is one way to put it and one way not to put it. You can see there's a foam strip there. So it's either going to go this way, or it's going to go this way. But I'll find it out when I get to it. So you've got little clips that push this on this side. It lifts up, it comes out. Now you can see the foam is at the back. I'm going to try and get hold of that somehow. Pull the filter out. Let's put you down. So yeah, this is your old pollen filter. This is to stop any pollen and dirt and dust and stuff coming into the car. So then when you put the air vents on, that doesn't get blown into your face. So it's obviously doing its job, because obviously that's new to old. That may or may not have ever been changed. Some 55,000 miles as I stated earlier, but yeah. Let's get this out the bag, get this new one installed, the clip back on, tidy this trim back up, and we are done. The two-hand job to get this one in. I've just removed this black carpet. There's a little push clip here and a push clip over here on this other yellow tab. You have to try and get it in around the fuse box, and then once it's in, it will push down into place. The locator at the bottom. So I don't know how well that's going to come out, but there's a little lug on the top there. So it gets located into there, pushed down onto the bottom, And then these little pins that obviously you push in to close, you pull them back out so they locate behind here and here. And that's the filter replaced. And that is a service finished. So there we have it. That is a full service on this Kuga. I've actually quite enjoyed doing this. It's quite a nice, easy process one to do. So that's now done for another, I think, 10,000 miles until the next service. My parents can go in and enjoy the car, be happy, and yeah, I've got some more videos out of it. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed the content. If you have, as always, please consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. Click the thumbs up button, comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. I have front disc and pads to do on this now. So thanks for watching. See you next time.